Hi guys, this is Deepti and Vishwast back with our next episode on breaking the patriarchal ceiling. For all those who attended our previous discussions, you have realized that how there's so many different ways in which patriarchy affects not just the female gender but also the male gender. And that is the whole point of opening up our platform to having discussions with both the genders without any gender bashing, but having constructive talks and learning from each other's experience. So today's talk is more about what Vishwas and me have learned from the previous two discussions from our many multiple participants.
Hi, Deepti. Thank you for this platform once again. And I think the most common theme that came out was how patriarchy is affecting not only the women, but also the men. And affecting in the sense it is hampering their lives in such subconscious ways where today, after being aware of what is happening in their space, they realize that the reason for that is some belief system or some structure that they have grown up with in the past. We had an example of somebody speaking up that she was very shy in speaking up to boys, and she liked somebody, but she could not even go up and talk to that person, let alone tell her parents about what was happening in her space. And that resulted in her becoming more and more of an introvert. And today, how she is how she's working on herself, how she's really putting in the effort to break those barriers that she had built around herself and to get out of that structure so that she can communicate effectively with her own partner.
And I think the most important thing that came out from her story was that once she realized how patriarchy affected her, she's ensuring that her son, who's 13-year-old, is raised differently.
Yes. And I think it is also showing up that it is not only parents or it is not only adults who are facing this. What we also saw as a another recurring theme was kids who are in their sixth standard, seventh standard have such strong, firm beliefs about what is meant for boys and what is meant for girls.
Yes, and I think that exactly brought out by an example by somebody who spoke about his daughter joining boxing classes and how it was not so much the parents but the boys themselves of her age, like 10 to 12 years old, who kind of bullied her and passed night comments about a girl doing boxing.
Yes, and I think it is good that these examples are being shared and these things are coming up. However, what is also concerning is that the next generations are already being molded as per these structures. And if our generation and the generations prior to us have had their set of issues, the next generations are already, we are passing on those issues to the next generation without having dealt with ourselves.
That's very true, because I think one of the other key learnings that we have had from these discussions is that how a lot of us have unconscious biases on us based on our conditioning, and we are passing that on to the next generation. So I think one of the key points of the discussions that we have had and which we are planning to have in the future is also to understand those unconscious biases, because there's nothing right and wrong, because that's how society has conditioned us. So we are looking at if by sharing we can identify those biases so that we can make those small changes in our life and ensure that at least us and the people around us no longer exhibit those biases.
Yes, even if we can help, a few individuals change their biases and start looking at things in a different manner, probably over a period of time, we will be looking to create the change that we want in our society.
I think this came out more starkly from the example of a person who has a son and a daughter, about how even though he thinks that he is raising them equally, but during the discussion, he realized that there are times when these biases show up, and how he communicates to both his kids or what he allows or doesn't allow both his kids to do, there is a subtle difference.
Yes, there is a subtle difference.
So I think that was a very, very key learning, like that, the Eureka moment in his mind that, oh yeah, I said this to my daughter, she cannot do this, or I encourage my son to do this. That's why we are hoping that these discussions can lead to more and more of these Eureka moments so that we can change those things.
Yes, that is what we aim to change, and that is where, every discussion that is there on the forum is helps everybody to understand where they stand and what is happening in their own.
Yeah.
Because so many of these, we are just unaware about how we communicate with our own children, how we communicate with our peers also with in this regard. So I think the next thing that we would really like to take in the upcoming discussion is how to communicate how to communicate effectively in a patriarchal space, so that we can stand our ground, we can stand up for our loved ones, and we can still, be there and say what we want to say without really creating a conflict or creating a situation where we ruffle feathers too much.
Yeah, I think that is very, very important because that was again a reoccurring theme in our discussions where people at times, even though they knew that what they are doing, they shouldn't because it reaffirms those biases, but they
Yes,
did not know how to communicate in a way which doesn't create an imbalance in relationships or, kind of an unpleasant atmosphere. So we're
yes.
going to address this issue on coming Sunday at 9 p.m. India time. So we would really encourage all of you who are listening to this video to join us. The link is there in the comment section. Because as this forum increases, I think it's a greater opportunity for each one of us to realize our moments, which we can change and thus make a difference in our lives and specifically to the next generation.
Looking forward to have as many of you as on board as possible, so that this just becomes a richer experience for all of us.
Yes, so hoping to see you all next Sunday. The topic is breaking the patriarchal ceiling, how to communicate effectively within a patriarchal system.
Yes, that's important.
See you on Sunday. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.